Dr. Butler, and today we're going to dive into the topic of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates and sugars are a main focus when discussing nutritional improvement with someone who has diabetes. While there are various diet plans and approaches that can be implemented that will be effective in keeping blood sugars in check, it's important for all people to understand some basics on carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are often broken down into two categories: simple carbs and complex carbs. The way these foods are separated into these categories is according to their glycemic index. The glycemic index is a range of numbers used to compare how fast a food with carbohydrates breaks down to the most basic sugar, which is glucose. Remember, glucose is the level in the blood that is being measured when you are testing your blood sugars. All food exists in a chain of molecules. Glucose is one sugar molecule. Sucrose, which is table sugar, is two molecules connected like a chain. This chain is easily broken down to just one sugar molecule, which makes it glucose. Longer chains take a longer time to break down, so they have a lower glycemic index. Because these longer chains take longer to break down, they don't release glucose as quickly into the blood and are less likely to cause a spike in blood sugars. Shorter chains are easier to break down and do often cause blood sugars to run high. The following example breaks this down further. Remember, glucose is one sugar molecule. It is represented in yellow. Any yellow molecule counts toward blood sugars. Simple carbs are generally two connected sugar molecules, similar to table sugar. Complex carbs exist in three or more molecule chains. When looking at the blood with these carbohydrates in them, making just one break in the chain will result in double the sugar load on the side with the simple carbs. When that break occurred, two glucose molecules were released, whereas only one was released from the complex carb. Remember, the sugar in the chain doesn't count for blood sugar testing. The glycemic index places all foods with carbs and sugars in this range. Glucose is generally valued around 100. Table sugar is in the mid-60s, and it is considered a moderate glycemic index food. Anything below 55 is generally considered a low glycemic index food. The glycemic index of most foods can be found online, but let's review some more common foods. The glycemic index of white bread is around 75. Are you surprised that it's closer to glucose than table sugar? Gram for gram, the carbohydrates in white bread will convert quicker to glucose than table sugar. What about wheat bread? It's the healthier alternative, right? Wheat bread is actually at the same level on the glycemic index as white bread. If searching for a lower glycemic index bread, look for whole grain products. These tend to drop about 20 points in the glycemic index. Let's dive further into some other foods. Yogurt with fruit is around 45 on the glycemic index. But if you opted for plain Greek yogurt and added your own fruit, you would drop about 20 points on the glycemic index scale. Corn is a vegetable, but a little higher on the scale than you might think. Because it also contains a lot of carbs, it's best to avoid including this in your regular routine. Rice cakes are a common diet food, but not a good idea for someone with diabetes. This diet food is 87 on the glycemic index. Surprising, right? Cereal is a go-to for breakfast, but not the ideal option for someone with diabetes. It's high in carb count, but also high on the glycemic index, making this another double whammy. Watermelon is fruit, but not all fruits are created equal. With a score in the 70s, this fruit is very close to glucose and won't take long to break down. Popcorn is another example, often highlighted as a diet snack, but at 65 on the glycemic index, it's best to nix this one from the list. Spaghetti. It's common knowledge that pasta is a carb, but surprisingly, this can be a low glycemic index food. Cooked al dente, it won't break down as quickly, and might not kick sugars up like rice or bread. Chickpeas are another high-carb food that gets a bad rap. They are low on the glycemic index and are a carb that you can probably include more routinely. Cucumbers are often referred to as a free food, meaning you can eat these without counting and crunching numbers. They are both low-carb and low glycemic index. Check out the recipes section of our website for a great cucumber salad recipe. This group of foods highlight why it's important to understand the concept of not only high carb, but also high glycemic index. If something is high carb, but low glycemic index, it might be okay to routinely incorporate into your diet. Another key component to this concept is understanding that anything that is processed or cooked has broken down these chains of sugars. So cooked or processed foods are often higher on the glycemic index. Carrots are a prime example. The glycemic index of raw carrots are around 16. After cooking, they range from low 30s to upper 40s. This is because the cooking process already broke down some of the sugar chains. Cooking or processing food of any kind has the potential to increase the glycemic index of foods. This is why processed foods have become a hot topic. The health benefit is diminished the more processed a product is. Many diet plans and nutritionists will focus on two different components of carbs. Looking at the amount of carbs in a particular food will help a person tailor their choices to lead to better management. But not all carbs are created equal. The glycemic index highlights this and is important for someone with diabetes to become familiar with. We wish you the best on your journey to living a healthier life. For more resources or support, check out our website at www.diabetesbattlebuddy.com. And remember, you can win the battle within.